and I've no idea how to introduce it, but I suspect in true Monty Python tradition, it's going to be something completely different. Peter Cook.
I've listened to 3 or 4 presentations about control, and I suppose I was thinking, what is the thing that I'm all about? I suppose I'm not about chaos, but creativity. But before anyone sort of says different, creativity and chaos are bedfellows, aren't they? You need both to run a business. So we looked at Lean Sigma. That requires you to process map. That requires rethinking things. That requires some improvisation and creativity. So I think we're about ready to talk about myths and riffs of creative leadership, or leadership, because I couldn't fit it on the line. So normal welcome at one of these is to go, good evening. And the other thing I noticed about circuit board people, I was expecting you all to have soldering irons this evening. And that goes back to once I was a chemist, but I got over it. And when I was about 15, I used to build little effects boxes. And we were talking to one of Steve's colleagues today about, she was saying that, what was the band that, well, their first album, they've gone off? What was that? What was that? Metallica. Muse, that's it. They had one good album and then they've sold out. Well, Maplin sold out, didn't they, around my age, because they used to sell diodes and capacitors. And now you can only buy little boxes, you can't, all the fun, they've taken all the fun out of it, haven't they? And that's all I know about circuit boards, sorry. So we've got that out of the way. Good evening. Shall we start with a song? What do you think? This is, of course, a detailed, deep, meaningful management and business session, but we'll start with a song. Is this working still? It is. Okay. Sort of. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Okay. Right. If anyone wants to join in on the first song, they may. There's going to be several opportunities to join in. So sometimes people say to me, Peter, would you prefer just to play with yourself for the first one? So I'm happy to oblige, but if someone wants to help me with it, they may. Anyone play a guitar? Yeah, please. Do you sing or what do you play? Background what?
Guitar.
Background guitar. We're in E. And what's your name? Hubert. Right. I was noticing you earlier, and one shouldn't ever stereotype Hubert, but you look very rock and roll. Yeah, a bit, but what would you like? Would you like the BB King guitar? Yeah. It's on. Do you, I have to ask a guitarist question while we're getting ready. Do you like it clean or dirty?
Clean.
You want clean? Let me just sort you out. We're all. Can you sort that out while I sort you out? You'll be. Hey, this is good, isn't it? Give him a big hand. Nobody normally comes up. So, we'll kick it off then. I'm going to start this out with a little loop so we can keep in time, as it were, but we don't really need it with you. But I'm going to do it anyway because I plan to do it. Take it away. Give him a hand, please. No, I meant like. Keep going. Come on. Who, me? Bit of solo, please. You ready? One, two, three, four. Sex in biz and rock and roll is all my brain and body needs. Sex in biz and rock and roll. Very good indeed. Keep your paradigm or reconstruct the culture. Forget the fads and fashions, don't be a culture vulture. Will not wear the clothing, Sir Alan Sugar. Cut the crap acidity, no more business vinegar. Come on, my man. Let's have a bit of BB King, or Albert King, or any king. Sing. Sex and biz and rock and roll. Can't hear you. Is all my brain and body needs. Sex in biz and rock and roll. Come on, louder. It's very good indeed. Thank you. That's fine. Oh, you know what to do. Do you play in a band? Yeah, okay. We'll see you later. Well, that was it. Thanks very much. We've done. That was the evening. That's 40 minutes later. Right. Knowing me, knowing you, aha. I used to work in drugs. I was a chemist once, but I got over it. I soldered when I was 15. That's the end of my PCB knowledge. I don't think you solder anymore, not at home anyway. I have 2 kids. I've written 4 books on business because I've had a bit of spare time. The latest one you get free. It's like a new offer. Buy one, get one free. The samples on the table are for sale, but you then get Punk Rock People Management, a no bullshit guide to hiring, firing and inspiring stuff, but not necessarily in that order. You get that one free. Contact me about that. And I do a bit of speaking and stuff. And I've seen the links between music and business. And I think that's all there is to say. Shall we start? Here's the Harvard Business School lecture. If you don't have time or can't be asked to read the book, here's the book on a page or 2. In business, there is creativity and structure. There's control and creativity. As we've been talking about, Lean Sigma is about getting rid of waste. But actually, if you get to the end of Lean Sigma, which you never get to the end of, do you? You actually need ingenious thinking so you can then control it and produce innovation. So you need some waste in the system, but not the amount that you were talking about. So, and also you need a client or a customer or a stakeholder, depending on what you do for a living. That's the business lecture. In music, anyone a musician? We know that Hubert is, but anyone else a musician in here? Yeah, what do you play? Guitar. Guitar? Guitar. You? Sax. Sax. Did you bring it? I did. Excellent. That shows intention, doesn't it? You play bass, don't you? Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, we ain't got no bass, as you know. So, music lesson for the unmusical. In music, you have a score, you have improvisation, and if you're a good musician, you're an audience. Anyone been in a band? Anyone played with themselves at home in their bedroom? Most people. I work with a lot of musicians. Of course, a lot of them actually don't want to have an audience. They want to just perfect their song. And so musicians are funny people, maybe like sort of PCB engineers in certain ways, I don't know. They want to be in their cave, perfecting their art. So in music, success in music is when you have this happy mixture and you have an audience. So success in business is the same. You have a customer, you don't just make things that nobody wants. So there is the great big Harvard Business School lecture, over. So thank you very much. That's the end of the lecture, really. There's a bit more, so we could sort of work on that. Does anyone actually own up to having been sitting there trying to learn Smoke on the Water or some important song for years and never quite decided to take it out to the audience. Because that's a big step, isn't it, for some people? Anyone sort of think, well, I'll perform when it's all finished, when I've lean sigma'd it and perfected it and there's no errors. Well, actually, jamming doesn't work like that. So that's perhaps one small difference, but not a big one. So the point is, leaders get the balance right between these things. Creativity and structure at work, improvisation and score in music. All music has these elements. If it's classical music, there's a lot more score because the score is written down. Because classical musicians can read. And rock musicians, well, we don't know. But there's a lot of structure in classical music. And there is indeed a conductor at the front saying, this is what we do. Everyone's got the same sheet music and it all goes on. In jazz, of course, there's a lot more creativity, but there are still rules in jazz. In classical and possibly most jazz music, the audience isn't on stage. They're sitting like you are, going, and then they applaud nicely at the end. In rock music, sometimes the audience is part of the band. So there's more of a participative art. That really is all there is to say, I think. There's probably a bit more. So companies and rock musicians or musicians that get this right and keep their audience are people like Madonna and David Bowie. Most of the people I've worked with have had one hit. But David Bowie and Madonna and perhaps some other people are examples of rock musicians or musicians that have changed what they do and kept the audience. The norm of musicians, of course, is to change what you do and lose your audience. Anyone think of any one-hit wonders?
Chesney Hawkes.
Chesney Hawkes, the one and only. And
Chicory Tip.
Right Said Fred. Oh, they're two hits, but yeah.
Chicory Tip.
Chicory Tip, yeah, from Medway, Steve.
Yeah, they are, that's what I know them.
The Moog, they had a dodgy Moog synthesizer with some PCBs that got warm, and then they went out of tune. I remember that. It's back to humidity. Okay, they're one-hit wonders. The norm is if you decide to change your music, you lose the audience. So, of course, in business, what you want to do is change what you do and keep the audience and get more. That is all there is, I think. First Direct, anyone bank with First Direct? Got to be one in here tonight. What do you love about First Direct, sirs? Any of you? Nothing? No. Nothing wrong with it.
They were the first telephone banking, and they were very, very good at it.
They are good at telephone
And
banking.
they moved into the internet, and you never need a high street with it.
No. Anyone else got anything good to say about their bank? No. Okay. First Direct are good on the telephone. That's the point. They chat to you. They'll chat to you about anything you want to chat about. Their HR director says that all they do to hire people is to hire people that want to talk about other people's shit. And that's quite different than people who want to talk down the phone about what they've got to sell. We're in a relationship marketing business now. So they hire people that have got this thing called emotional intelligence. They're paying attention to what's coming back at them down the phone. It's not that difficult, but you know, lots of people are. My musicians that don't have an audience, there's one that I work with. He's a great guitarist. He's a virtuoso, but he's often on stage when the band have left, and he's still, so to speak, playing with himself because he hasn't noticed that the rest of the people have gone home. So I think that emotional intelligence of knowing what you're good at and paying attention to your impact is quite important. Good musicians, good businesses have both of those things going for them.